Hello and welcome. This is Saad Usman. In today's video, I'm going to discuss about some basic transformations inside of Power Query. We have two files in which we have sales data for the month of year to date of November 2019 and December 2019. Let me show you data. The data is in the form of a sales month-wise sales report by city, zone and region of Pakistan, and this data is formatted already in the form of a report. So this data is not very useful because further reports cannot be made very easily from this. We cannot make a pivot table because we need a raw data. So let's convert this data into raw data and use Power Query to do that. For this purpose, we are going to go to a new file and go to the data tab. In data tab, get and transform data group, I'll go to get data from file from workbook. And I will choose my file here, which is for instance November 2019. I will import the data. The data is here, and in this case we can see the sheet 1, the preview of sheet 1, and we will going to transform the data. The data is now coming inside the Power Query editor. First of all, we are going to name our query as November sales. Enter. You can see that on the right side there are certain applied steps already done by Power Query, but we are going to do that ourselves, so we need to just cancel the last few steps, and we are just going to go with source and then navigation. So we have this data inside the Power Query now, and now we have to modify this according to our requirement. So if we go step by step, what are we looking at? We are looking at the heading of the report, my sales report, and we have got first row, second row, and the third row we have got headers, region, zone, city, and their dates coming up. So I don't need row number 1 and row number 2. I can remove the top rows. For that purpose, we are going to go to home and remove top rows. Remove rows, remove top rows, and when we click there, we are going to specify the number of rows that we want to remove. In this case, we want to remove 2 rows. Click OK. The top 2 rows are gone, and we have added one step on the right side in applied steps. Similarly, in the bottom we can see the footer of the report, the total field, the total row, a blank row, and 2 other rows which we don't require. So at the bottom we don't require 4 rows. So we are going to again remove bottom rows, and in this case, let's say for instance I remove only 3 rows. And now there is a bottom row. Later on I found that no, I made a mistake, and I have to remove in fact 4 rows instead of 3. No need to worry. We are going to just click on this button, and then we can change 3 to 4, and the current step will be modified, and the last row is gone. If we now look at the data, we have a column, serial number, region, zone, and on the right side we have month-wise sales coming up. That December column is currently empty, but we need to keep this for future requirement. But the last column is clearly is not required. It's a blank column. So we will select this and hit delete to delete this column. And on the left side, we don't need the first column, which is serial. So I'm going to select this column and hit delete, and it's gone. And now we need to have whatever is in the first row. We want to promote that first row as headers of our table. So for that purpose, we can go to home tab and click on this use first row as headers. We can click on this small icon on the left side, drop down, and click use first row as headers. Click on this. The first row is promoted as headers here, and now we have region, zone, city, and dates coming up. Next, what we see is in the region column we have north, but they are followed by 3 blank cells, then north again, and the 2 blank cells. And in the next column we have zone, Punjab, KPK, followed by blank cells. What we want to do is we want to copy this north in the blank cells coming up later on. Similarly, this north should be copied in these 2 cells. For this purpose, we are going to click on this column and go to transform tab. In this any column group, we have fill, and we're going to select fill down. Fill down will replace the nulls with the value appearing just above. So north is coming downwards, and then south is also filled up in the blank cells. We're going to repeat this process on the zone column. fill down, and we have now region and zone. Okay, but in the city column we have certain blank rows. Now we have city. In the city we have null, 3 null rows, which means 3 blank rows which we don't require, and we can see there's no data also here. So we can just click on city and click on remove empty. So whatever is null will automatically get removed. Now we have a clean data over here. City, all the cities are here without any blank rows in between. Next, what we are going to do is we need to have the sales data in a vertical format. And the vertical format means we need to have one column for the months and the other column for the sales values, which we can use further to build our pivot tables. So for that purpose, I can either go and select all the columns here till December, and then I will have to unpivot the columns. For unpivoting the columns, I can go to transform tab and click unpivot, or I can right click on any column and I can go and unpivot columns. By unpivoting these columns, all the data in the columns has moved to rows, and we have one new column called attribute, which we will rename by double clicking it, and we'll call it date. And the next column we'll call it sales. You can see that the data type of region column is text, zone is text, city is text, but the date column is also appearing as text. We need to change this. We can click on this ABC and we can change it to date. And finally, sales is a decimal number, which is okay. So we have the data for November year to date formatted accordingly, formatted in the way we want, and we will just export this into Excel. We will click on this close group, close and load to. In close and load to, we'll have a new dialog box which will give us option where we want to have the data. So in this case I want my data in the existing sheet and in the cell A1, and I'll click OK. I have my data here. So I will just save this file, and I will call this file Power Query Sales Report, and I will save this over here. Now we have already imported our data for the month of November. What if we get an updated report in the next month? So are we going to redo all the steps again? The answer is no. We will just use our existing query and get the data for December as well. Let's see how it's done. What I'm going to do is I'm going to click anywhere in the existing query and go to Query Tools, and I will click on Edit. In this case, we can just create a duplicate query and right click on this query and create duplicate. And when this query is a copy of the existing November sales query, we will change its name to December sales. Enter, and all we have to do is we have to just change the source of this query, the source data. We will click on the settings icon and we will browse to the correct file. Now this file is December. Click select it and click on import, and I will click OK. Now when this data is here, I will just check on my last step, which is change type 1, and I can see that the December sales have been incorporated in this file as well. So I just need to do a close and load to, and I will create a table in a new worksheet. I will go to a new worksheet, I will click OK, and here you can see that the month of December is also appearing in my sales. So whenever I need to have update the sales report with additional data, I just need to change the source of the file, and I will have the updated sales report. I hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next video.